What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Unstoppable Dad Project. Thanks for joining us for another week. I took a week off last week. I was going through some mental struggles. I had some mental hurdles that I had to jump through. This time of year is a pretty tough time of year for a lot of people, especially those that run a small business and in the current climate and things like that. And last week it just flat out got the best of me, and I just didn't feel like fronting up to a camera or a microphone outside of doing certain things I had to do to keep the program and keep the gym ticking over. So I just decided not to do the podcast last week. As those of you that have listened for a while know, this is just a weekly thing where I jump on for 15, 20 minutes, talk about a particular subject or a particular topic. It's unedited. I literally just jump on, hit record. I've got notes and I've got things that I want to talk about, but for the most part, it's just about me giving you a bit of an insight into my life, my experiences, and some things, and hopefully in different episodes, some tips and some tools that have worked for not only myself but the people that I've been working with. So I did have some stuff written down that I wanted to talk about last week, but to be honest, I just didn't feel like doing it. It was a very mentally draining week. I had a lot of stuff going on, so I decided to take a week off. But I'm back this week and back to it and back to kind of probably talk a little bit about last week, because I get a lot of feedback when I talk about, a lot of good feedback, I should say, when I kind of give you an insight into some mental struggles and some mental hurdles that happen with me. And, last week was a tough week. I broke down mentally actually twice on Monday. And it just got to the point where it just felt too much. And I guess one thing that I've learned over the years, because if I had a weekend or I had a couple of days like I did last week, that in the past, it would bury me for potentially weeks on end, even months. I'd kind of wallow a little bit. I'd feel very sorry for myself. I'd feel very demotivated, and I just wouldn't get done what I needed to get done. And I guess one of the things I have learned, having been through a few tough times, having both emotionally, financially, physically, is I've kind of learned a few different things. And I mean, the number one thing that I did was just let myself be in the emotion I was feeling, that the anger, the depression, the scare, what's the word for it? I guess the scarcity, the uncertainty, and I kind of dealt with that before moving on, because in the past, I know what I've done is I haven't dealt with that stuff. I've kind of just put it to the side, and my default mode is like head down, ass up, work, like keep working, don't stop, like work will solve everything. And I know for me and a lot of the people that I've dealt with, like that head down, ass up, like just grind, when things feel like they're compounding, is a lot of the time not a good thing to do, because what it does is it ends up just being compounding the issue, and eventually it becomes a powder keg where it just blows up. And usually when it blows up onto those who are closest to you, like your family, your wife, even your kids. Like, I know when I'm going through times of high stress, if I don't take some time off to just like switch off and deal with the emotions that I'm feeling and identify why I'm feeling that, then I'm a lot shorter with the kids. I'm a lot more reactive to people when they're talking to me. And I'm just not as happy. Whereas, Monday I just decided, right, I'm going to do what I need to do for the next kind of 48 hours, give myself an opportunity to kind of deal with what I needed to deal with. And then come Wednesday, I had a plan on what I needed to do to fix the situation. And that was the thing. Like, not only did I deal with the emotions, but by dealing with the emotions, I was able to really dive into, I guess, the underlying cause and the underlying problem. And then by identifying that, I was then able to come up with a plan to rectify that. And that kind of turned the week around and finish off. I ended up finishing the week on what I felt was a high and feeling quite good moving into the weekend, which was great. But it's very hard to detach and look at the way I was feeling about everything. And it wasn't just, like, there wasn't just one thing that triggered me off. And I know for me, even though it might be something that is the catalyst that gets me to snap, it's generally not one thing that triggers me off. There's a few compounding things that could have been building up over weeks. And in this instance, that's what it was. Like, it was stuff that over the couple of weeks preceding up to it, there was a few things that I didn't address. And then there was, I think there was about 3 things. See, this is once I've kind of put it to the side and moved on after I've dealt with everything. Sometimes it's even hard to remember exactly what these things are. And once enough time passes, I'm not even going to really remember or be bothered by what happened. But rather than let it get me down for weeks and weeks on end, as it would in the past and as it does with a lot of people, I think dealing with the way I felt and dealing with the emotions of, and there was a lot of different emotions. Like, it wasn't just one. I was angry in the moment. I was annoyed. I was pissed off. Felt betrayed for certain things that were going on. Like, there was a lot of different things. But rather than just putting my head down, I gave myself permission to deal with that, work out what was going on, what was the underlying cause, and then work out a plan to address the underlying cause. And that then allowed me to kind of turn things around a lot quicker. Rather than getting to a point of complete breakdown, I was able to do that. And obviously there's a big part where, I spoke to my wife about what was going on. And the other thing that I did, which is a very hard thing to do, it requires people like us as men and fathers, especially of my generation, where, the default mode is to just work harder. Like, hey, something's not going right, work harder. You'll get out the other side of it. Like, just keep going. And it's all on you. And there is an element where, like, you have to do the work, right? Like, no one's coming to save you. But asking for help was another thing. Like, actually putting it out to my team and my staff and like, hey, I'm struggling at the moment. I need your help with these few things, to give me an opportunity to actually deal with what's going on internally and externally. And that was a big step, because I actually found within that, like, asking for help and putting it out to the people, within my immediate circle, I found a lot of support within that. And again, it wasn't that, like, people did the things that I needed to do to fix the situation for me. It was just more that they were giving a different opinion on what was going on that wasn't my own, which enabled me to probably detach from the situation and what was going on a little bit quicker. And so, and by taking the week off and kind of not doing things like this, I love doing this podcast. It's a little bit of therapy for me talking about, especially episodes like I'm doing today, where I'm just kind of unpacking thoughts, feelings, and emotions around things that have happened in my life. But it was just something I didn't need to do. And I didn't need to do it to keep everything moving in the right direction. Didn't necessarily mean I took the whole week off work either, or I took the whole days off work. I still had core tasks that I needed to do. But rather than what I would do in the past, and what I see all too commonly with people when they're trying to, I guess, overcome some adversity or overcome a particular way of feeling, like they're feeling bad about themselves, is they just dive into something. And they don't deal with, and I don't either, they don't deal with the underlying emotions and the underlying issues of what's going on. They just let it all compound. They let it all just blow up to a point where it paralyzes them and they can't move away from exactly what's going on. They just keep burrowing, keep working, keep chipping away, go. It's that mentality of, hey, if I work harder, it's going to get better. And sometimes it doesn't. Yes, don't get me wrong. Sometimes hard work is going to be the key to getting what you want. You're not going to be able to just move on from, you're not going to be able to move forward without actually doing some work. But there are times where sometimes it will all get too much, and sometimes you will just need to take a step back, deal with what needs to be dealt with emotionally, physically, mentally, financially, and formulate a plan to address whatever the underlying issue is. And that's what I had to go through last week. And it's not something that you're ever going to have to stop. And that's the thing. I think a lot of people, especially some people that I deal with and have, and myself as well too, sometimes you get on the other side of these things and you think, oh, that's it, I'm not going to have to do that again. And that's just not the case. Like, life's always going to be this ebb and flow of things not quite going right, and you're going to have to work a way around it. You're always feeling emotions and how you feel and getting angry and reacting to certain things a particular way. Like, that's a natural gambit of human emotions. It's what makes us human. It's what makes us men. And I think we don't give ourselves permission to feel that way sometimes. We think we shouldn't. And there's one thing that within that, like when I had that little bit of a breakdown, that I just realized my son, who's 2.5, he actually see me cry for the first time. And I'm only thinking of this now. I don't think he's ever seen me cry. Like, it got to the point where I just had to cry just to release some of that emotion. And the look on his face was obviously one of concern. Like, he's a very sweet, caring kid. But I don't think, it's something that from our generation, we were never exposed to that from our parents. It was always about putting up this facade, and I shouldn't say facade, but this front of being strong and tough. And sometimes you're going to need to cry. Sometimes you're going to need to be emotional. Sometimes and every time you're like that, you're going to need to deal with that. And it's not something that should be dismissed. It's not something that you should feel bad for feeling a particular way. And the process that I went through over the last week, which is a process that I've had to go through multiple times over my life for different issues, whether it be business related, personal related. And one thing I'm proud of myself for is being able to step back and deal with that in a timely manner so that it didn't cost me 4, 5, 6 days, 10 days, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I took a step back, realized that I was feeling this, worked out why I was feeling like that, processed those emotions, and then formulated a plan where I was able to move forward without really ending up in a position where it bled into months and months and months. And now coming into Christmas, I didn't want to be in a position come Christmas Day where I was feeling stressed out, emotional. I want to be able to enjoy it, because most people that are listening to this have kids, and I think we all know, if our kids are old enough to understand what Christmas is, how special that time is for them, and as special that time is for us. Like, I said it to somebody the other day, Christmas itself, when you have kids, is exponentially better than what it was when it's just you. Like, the joy and the family time and the things that you're able to do is amazing. So, yeah, that's been my journey over the last week. So I really just wanted to get on and kind of riff about that. As I said, I've always been every time I put podcasts up like this, where it's kind of a bit of a deep dive into what I've felt and things like that. And this isn't going to be every podcast. I don't want this to be a woe is me thing, right? Like, it's more just making you aware that it is okay to get angry, get scared, feel betrayed, but just don't bottle those feelings up. Deal with them as they come up. Take some time for yourself to deal with them, however that might be for you. It's going to be so unique for everybody. And then if there's an underlying problem, work out a strategy to kind of move yourself forward. But biggest thing is always, like, don't be too proud to ask for help, because that pride can be a killer for a lot of men. Or reach out if you need help. Talk to a professional if you're feeling dark thoughts. Reach out to your friends, reach out to your brothers, and reach out to your network, or if you need to, obviously reach out to us. So take care. Thanks for tuning in. Jump on, give us a follow, The Unstoppable Dad Project on Facebook and at The Unstoppable Dad on Instagram. You can jump into our free group on the Facebook page, which is at The Unstoppable Dads. Other than that, have a great week. I will talk to you all next week. Bye.